On a crisp morning at JFK International Airport, Dr. Amara Johnson, a trailblazing black CEO of a Fortune 500 tech firm, stood at the gate, her first-class boarding pass in hand, ready to board a flight to London. But what happened next wasn't just a mix-up. It was a confrontation that exposed a web of prejudice, sparked a single phone call, and brought an entire airline to its knees in just 30 minutes. Dr. Amara Johnson was no stranger to breaking barriers. At 42, she'd climbed from a modest upbringing in Atlanta to become the CEO of NextGen Innovations, a tech conglomerate revolutionizing artificial intelligence. Her face had graced the covers of Forbes and Fortune, her speeches inspired millions, and her leadership had turned NextGen into a global powerhouse. But on that fateful morning at JFK, none of that seemed to matter. Amara arrived at the gate for Global Airways Flight 237 to London, dressed in a tailored navy suit, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder. She was traveling to meet with investors who were eager to fund NextGen's latest AI-driven healthcare initiative. Her first-class ticket, booked weeks in advance, was a small reward for months of grueling work. She approached the gate agent, a middle-aged woman with a tight smile, and handed over her boarding pass. The agent, whose name tag read Karen, scanned the pass then paused. Her eyes flicked from the screen to Amara, then back again. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, her tone clipped. "There's an issue with your ticket. You're not in first class." Amara frowned, maintaining her composure. "That's not possible. I booked this ticket myself. First class seat 2A. Can you check again?" Karen's smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "I've checked. You're in economy. Row 32, seat C. You can board with group 4. Amara's pulse quickened, but she kept her voice steady. "There's a mistake. I paid for first class, and I have the confirmation right here." She pulled out her phone, opened her email, and showed the agent the booking confirmation from Global Airways, clearly stating, "First class, seat 2A. Karen barely glanced at it. "Ma'am, the system doesn't lie. Someone else is in that seat. You'll need to take your assigned seat or step aside." Amara's years of navigating corporate boardrooms had taught her to recognize when someone was dismissing her. She'd faced it before. Subtle slights, raised eyebrows, assumptions about her competence. But this was different. This was blatant. "I'd like to speak to a supervisor," she said firmly. Karen's lips pursed. "That won't change anything. The flight's overbooked, and we've reassigned seats." "It happens." Amara's jaw tightened. "I'm not moving until I speak to a supervisor." A murmur rippled through the crowd of passengers waiting to board. Some stared, others whispered. A man in a business suit behind Amara muttered, "Just take the seat and go. Don't hold up the line." The supervisor, a man named Greg, arrived minutes later. He was tall, with a brisk demeanor, and he barely looked at Amara as he took the boarding pass from Karen. "What's the issue here?" he asked, addressing Karen rather than Amara. "She's claiming she has a first-class ticket, but the system shows economy," Karen said, her tone implying Amara was either confused or lying. Greg finally looked at Amara. "Ma'am, the system is clear. You're in 32C. If you don't board now, you'll miss the flight." Amara's voice remained calm, but her words carried weight. "I'm not claiming anything. I have a confirmed first-class ticket. If someone else is in my seat, that's your error, not mine. I'd like to know who's in 2A and why my seat was given away." Greg hesitated, then tapped at the computer. His expression shifted slightly. Surprise, maybe discomfort. "The seat was reassigned due to operational needs," he said vaguely. "It's policy. We can offer you a refund for the difference." Amara's eyes narrowed. "Operational needs. That's not an explanation. Who's in my seat?" Greg's silence was telling. He exchanged a glance with Karen, who looked away. Amara's instincts, honed by years of reading people in high-stakes negotiations, screamed that something was off. She wasn't just being bumped. She was being targeted. "I'm not boarding until this is resolved," Amara said, crossing her arms. "And I'm calling my legal team." The crowd's murmurs grew louder. A woman nearby whispered to her companion, "She's holding up the whole flight." Another passenger, an older man, said, "Good for her. They can't just take her seat." Amara stepped aside, pulled out her phone, and dialed a number she rarely used outside of emergencies. The call connected on the first ring. "Malik," she said, her voice low but urgent. "I need you to do something for me. Now." Malik Washington was Amara's longtime friend and NextGen's chief legal counsel. He was also a former federal prosecutor with a network that spanned industries and government agencies. If anyone could unravel what was happening, it was him. "Tell me everything," Malik said. Amara recounted the situation. Her confirmed first-class ticket, the gate agent's dismissal, the supervisor's evasiveness. "They're stonewalling me, Malik. I need to know why my seat was reassigned and who's in it. And I need it fast." "I'm on it," Malik said. "Give me 15 minutes. As Amara waited, the gate area grew tense. Passengers boarded, casting glances her way. Karen and Greg huddled at the desk, their voices hushed. Amara overheard snippets, something about priority passenger and executive decision. Her suspicion deepened. This wasn't a random error. 10 minutes later, Malik called back. "Amara, you're not going to believe this. The person in your seat is Richard Caldwell." Amara's breath caught. Richard Caldwell was the CEO of Horizon Dynamics, a rival tech firm that had been trying to undermine NextGen for years. Caldwell was known for his aggressive tactics and old boy network connections. He'd made no secret of his disdain for Amara, once publicly calling her overrated at an industry conference. "How did he get my seat?" Amara asked, her voice tight. Global Airways' parent company, SkyCorp, has a board member who's tight with Caldwell, Malik said. "My source says SkyCorp has a history of giving preferential treatment to certain high-profile passengers. They bumped you because Caldwell demanded a first-class seat, and someone at the top approved it." Amara's mind raced. This wasn't just about a seat. It was about power, privilege, and a system that still bent over backward for people like Caldwell while dismissing people like Burden like her. "What else do you know?" she asked. "SkyCorp's been cited for discriminatory practices before," Malik said. "They've got a pattern of favoring certain passengers. I'm digging deeper, but this is actionable, Amara. You could own this airline." Amara's eyes burned with resolve. "I don't want to own them. I want accountability. Can you get me proof?" "I'm working on it," Malik said. "But you need to decide how far you want to take this." Amara glanced at the gate, where Karen was now boarding the final passengers. Greg was on the phone, looking agitated. "All the way," she said. "Get me everything you can." She hung up and approached the desk again. Greg looked up, startled. "Ma'am, the flight's about to depart. You need to board now or—" "I'm not boarding," Amara interrupted. "I want a full explanation in writing of why my seat was reassigned to Richard Caldwell. And I want it now." Greg's face paled. I don't know what you're talking about." Amara leaned in, her voice low and steely. "You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm not leaving until this is resolved." The standoff lasted only a few minutes before Malik called again. "Check your email," he said. "I've got documents, emails between SkyCorp execs and Caldwell's team, confirming they bumped a first-class passenger to accommodate him. Your name's in there. This is a slam dunk." Amara opened her email and scanned the documents. They were damning. An executive had personally approved Caldwell's seat change, citing business priorities. There was no mention of Amara's rights as a ticketed passenger. Her blood boiled, but she kept her composure. She forwarded the email to Greg. "Read this," she said, handing him her phone. "And then explain to me why your airline thinks it can treat passengers this way." Greg's hands shook as he read. This isn't my department. I'll need to escalate." "No," Amara cut in. "You're the supervisor. You handle this. I'm calling the FAA." The Federal Aviation Administration was her next call. She spoke to an agent, calmly laying out the situation and forwarding the documents. "This is a clear violation of federal regulations," she said. "I expect a full investigation." Within 20 minutes, the situation escalated beyond the gate. The flight was delayed, and passengers were told to remain seated. Amara stood by the gate, her arms crossed, watching as airline staff scrambled. Word spread quickly. Passengers began tweeting about the delay, some mentioning Amara's confrontation. A young woman approached her, wide-eyed. "I heard what happened. Thank you for standing up to them." Amara nodded, her focus unwavering. She wasn't doing this for praise. She was doing it because it was right. 30 minutes after her call to the FAA, an announcement crackled over the PA system. "Flight 237 is cancelled due to operational issues. Please proceed to the service desk for rebooking." Groans filled the gate area, but Amara didn't flinch. She knew what had happened. Malik called again. "You did it, Amara." The FAA grounded the flight. "They're launching a full investigation into SkyCorp's practices. Those emails you sent were gold. They're already talking about fines and sanctions." Amara exhaled, a mix of relief and fury. "What about Caldwell?" "He's stuck at the gate like everyone else," Malik said. "And he's not happy. My source says he's screaming about lawsuits, but he's got no leg to stand on." Amara allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Let him scream." The fallout was swift. By the end of the day, news outlets were reporting on the incident, with headlines like, "Black CEO's seat stolen by rival, airline grounded." Social media erupted, with hashtag Justice for Amara trending on X. Passengers from the flight posted videos of Amara's calm, resolute confrontation, praising her for exposing the airline's bias. SkyCorp issued a public apology, but it was too late. The damage was done. Amara didn't board another flight that day. Instead, she returned to her office in New York, where her team was waiting. They'd been following the news, and the room erupted in applause when she walked in. "You took down an airline," her CFO said, shaking his head in awe. "I didn't take them down," Amara said. "I held them accountable. There's a difference." Over the next week, the FAA's investigation uncovered a pattern of discriminatory seat reassignments at SkyCorp, favoring wealthy, connected passengers, mostly white men, over others, including minorities and women. The Department of Transportation issued a $10 million fine, and SkyCorp's CEO resigned under pressure. Richard Caldwell's reputation took a hit, with industry insiders distancing themselves from him. Amara, meanwhile, became a symbol of resilience. She didn't seek the spotlight, but it found her. She gave a single interview to CNN, where she spoke plainly. "This wasn't about me. It was about a system that still treats people differently based on who they are or who they know. That's not acceptable." NextGen's stock soared as investors rallied behind Amara's leadership. The healthcare initiative she'd been traveling to pitch secured $500 million in funding, a testament to her vision and strength. But for Amara, the real victory was knowing she'd forced change. She'd exposed a flaw in the system and made it impossible to ignore. As for Global Airways, the airline never fully recovered. New policies were implemented, and a class action lawsuit followed, led by other passengers who'd been bumped unfairly. Amara didn't join the suit, she'd made her point. But she kept the emails, a reminder of the day she refused to back down. Months later, at a tech conference in San Francisco, Amara ran into Richard Caldwell in a crowded hallway. He averted his eyes, but she didn't. "Next time, book your own seat," she said, her voice cool and steady. He didn't respond, and she didn't need him to. She'd already won.